What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Seven Figure Flipping Podcast. This is Bill Allen. On today's show, I have a really incredible guest with me. His name is Adam Whitney. He runs this company called Blackjack Real Estate. You may have heard of it. In 2015, I started this company down in Pensacola, Florida. And since then, we've done over 1,000 houses, flipped, wholesaled. I've done some owner finance and all kinds of stuff. But a few years ago, Adam took over the company, and I'm really excited. I'm to interview him because I get to find out exactly what happened last year in 2024 in Blackjack Real Estate. You might think that Adam and I talk on a regular basis. We do now, for sure, him being the CEO of Seven Figure Flipping. But when he took over the business, I was so focused on Seven Figure Flipping, he was running Blackjack Real Estate and doing his Marine Corps job. And so we didn't talk a ton about it. He just got up to speed, was running it. It was really incredible. It gave me the capacity to go do something else. But every year I did this year in review for the company. I think it's helped a lot of listeners on the podcast to figure out what's working, what's not working, share vulnerably the fact that we didn't hit some of our goals and our targets. And that's okay. You know, we're going to figure it out. We learn. So we're going to do that right now. So I'm going to interview Adam. We're going to go through the year in review for Blackjack Real Estate, and I'm going to hear all the good things, the ups and downs of the company last year. So Adam, what's up? How are you?
Hey, I feel a little bit like this is an interrogation, some military training. Let's go.
Well, I mean, I don't know if we'll get that bad. It'll just depend on how the numbers are. If the numbers aren't very good, you might get an interrogation. But I like this podcast that we do every year. It's usually me talking to a camera. And for the past couple of years, you know, I've been able to bring you in and talk about what the company's done. So why don't you just maybe give everybody kind of a high level update of what happened last year? Maybe that will help.
Yeah, just kind of like going into 2024, the context is important. We were coming out of 2023, which was an extremely constrained year in real estate. We did okay, not great. And we thought that 2024 would be a growth year in real estate. We thought the rates would come back down. And we try to plan conservatively to do about 60 deals. And we had some some marketing spend stuff. So one thing that happened in 2023 was our cost per lead on average was up over $400 per lead. And one of our goals, the dial, we thought if we really dialed that in and got it $250 or less per lead, that we could do 60 deals and have the profit margin we want. We actually did bring that cost per lead down under $250, but we didn't get the exact result we thought we would get. And it wasn't just the marketing spend was the reason for that, but we did 40 deals and just over $1 million in top line, which all sounds great, but I can tell you what didn't go well in 2024. I think people will appreciate.
Yeah. Before we do that, I wanna talk like high level. Some people might have just heard that and been like, okay, well, cost per deal, or cost per lead under $250 a lead, $1 million, 40 houses. I'm nowhere near that. Listen, each one of you are a different place in your career and your time right now. So pull something different. Like, don't tune out. Don't stop listening. Just pull something from this. And at the end, I'll talk to some of those of you that are newer, that want to get started in this. Don't let this discourage you. This might, we have a lesson for you. I have a lesson for you at the end of the show. Okay. So stay with me, glean something from this, learn something from this, and figure out kind of how can I position this to where I am in my life and my business right now, because you might not be driving a ton of leads. You might not be even paying for leads at all. You might be buying from wholesalers. You might be flipping. Like, we're going to talk about all that stuff. So, okay. What did not go so well, Adam?
Yeah, the cost per closed deal started to creep up to about $10,000 per deal. And on average, we were making roughly 20 to 25K gross per deal. So we would spend 10 grand and it would bring us, 20 grand back, basically a little more than 20 grand back. And that became prohibitive for net profit for us. And we started to realize that about quarter two, and we were trying to figure out how to generate more margin. And we looked at different marketing channels. We had to do some revamping of our sales process and our team and get more accountability into it and more training. That was all part of it. But what we just realized was once we got the right team in place, once we felt like we were very confident in our sales process, we just realized that the marketing channels were not performing for us like they had in the past. And we started to really dive into, hey, we're primarily wholesaling most of these things. How can we create more margin on the deals that we are getting? So that led us to, focusing more on other exit strategies, which I'm happy to talk about, obviously.
Yeah. So 2 questions. Why did the cost per lead start creeping down, do you think? And then why did the cost per closed deal start going up?
It was starting to take more leads to get a deal. The marketing channels we were using, so like we were using PPL, even direct mail.
And that's pay per lead. So that's like PPL being like there's a company that you buy leads from.
Yep.
Right.
And even Google Ads pay per click, which, is supposed to be the best leads, were very similar to the pay per lead leads. We couldn't discern a difference in the data in our market. Obviously, it's market dependent, which I think probably goes back in history. You would probably agree even PPC back in the day wasn't the same home run it was for a lot of other markets, at least looking at our data.
So the cost per lead started going down a little bit. You were getting some leads. You guys were excited, but then it took more leads to get an offer accepted and then a closed deal. So
yeah, exactly.
when you started writing it back, it became more costly because it took more leads. Was it because they were bad leads, or was it because of the sales process? So there's a lot of different reasons, right?
No, they weren't bad leads because they were people who had a house and wanted to sell. Their situations weren't conducive to an off-market wholesale deal. Either the house was newer. So these were like a lot of people in 2021 who got mortgages where there's no room in the deal, or it's like a newer house. We started getting an influx of those leads. And it was, of course we're looking internal during this time, and you're trying to see the forest through the trees. Like, what are we doing? Like, why are we not getting these deals? Like, what's wrong with our sales process? And what we looked at, just the data, was, hey, it's taking more leads because we're getting a lot more quote unquote junk, which, basically is just unclosable deals. And we went through lead after lead after lead to validate this, just to kind of like find out what it is and why it's not working.
And so you mentioned that you started doing something different. You started doing there's principles, strategies, and tactics. All right. So I want to just preface this conversation real quick. So principles never change. You think about biblical principles, principles of business, they never really change. And then the strategies will change over time based on the market or what's happening, but strategies start changing. And then the tactics, I look at this as like the tools that you use to execute on the strategy that you have. So that could be a software, or if you think about like when we used to cold call, there were multi-line dialers that came out. There were like 3-line, 5-line, 7-line dialers. Then you can call 7 people at one time, and if somebody picks up, then you can talk to them. So that was a tactic that we used for this cold calling strategy. And then different softwares would come. So that stuff comes and goes, right? Tactics come and go. Strategies change slower than tactics usually, and then principles never change. So what we're probably going to talk about here is maybe like what we thought the strategy was going to be for 2024 going into it, which you mentioned was predominantly wholesale. Did it change at some point throughout 2024?
Yeah, it definitely changed. There's just another really important note. We're in the Florida market, and the what we thought would happen in the market didn't happen exactly how we thought it would happen. In fact, of the 28 cities or metropolitan statistical areas that took the biggest hit in 2024, 18 of them were in Florida. That means their year over year decline. So compared to 2023, 18 of the worst 28 MSAs were in the state of Florida, which was in our markets. So our market was pulling back. Now, I didn't think it was a bad market. It just ended up pulling back more than I thought it would, back to the mean, if you will. So that was also kind of like a headwind that we had that we were considering. That was actually one of the reasons we wanted to stay on the wholesale side, because we didn't know how much it would come back. And it came back more than we thought. We didn't want to be holding a whole bunch of inventory flipping houses, because you have to buy it. You'd have to make sure you buy it extremely deep and be very conservative there. So we did one of the couple of the strategies that we pivoted to was, looking for more deals to do a novation on, which is just a strategy where we could take these wholesale deals to the MLS on the market, which we did a few of those. And then we were sitting with some 7-figure flipping altitude members in August at our event in Baltimore. And we got to look at a couple different people's key performance indicators and which exit strategies were working the best for people. And I saw one creative finance strategy that was working really, really well. And how they were marketing to it was extremely efficient with big margins, as well as a lot of people flipping houses where they had been wholesaling in the past. And we're not built, we flip a few houses, but we take on really light stuff that's easy to manage. So we're not built to be a big flipping company. We could be, but that's not where we've built our team. So we just decided to focus on things that we could buy and get out of very quickly with little work, and more creative finance strategies as an exit. And that was like a Q4 pivot, which has resulted in bigger margins for us, taking on some debt, but taking on, 35-40% equity with that debt. So feeling really comfortable about our position on that.
Okay, so it sounds like we went from flipping or wholesaling to flipping to now a mod, like a creative finance model on an exit strategy. So the other thing that I'm wondering is, as you change these strategies, usually strategies take some time to develop versus just like you turn it on and it starts working right away.
Yes.
So I think a lot of people, the problem is they're not willing to let this work over time and analyze the data and metrics and numbers. So you said Q4 of 2024, you changed the strategy to this creative finance exit strategy. Now, did it pay off in Q4, or is it just starting to pay off now in Q1 of 2025?
Yeah, we were really fortunate so we saw this in August, and we ran a test in September leading into Q4. Let's test this. And I'll tell you like what I feel like was the most effective piece of all this. So we started running the test in September in this particular marketing. And by September 9th, we got a contract. On September 30th, we closed it. So we got really lucky out of the gate. It wasn't like we didn't do anything special, but we got a lot of good data. And then we went really hard into Q4, and we realized by the end of Q4, we had realized about $300K in revenue into Q4, into the first week of January. So it bled over into Q1, but it was all Q4 actions, right? And it was about $300K on way, way lower burn rate, like $25K a month burn rate. So we basically were spending $25K a month to produce $100K a month on average, right? But it took time. I didn't get all that money up front. We had to really like be super committed. And a lot of that, Lindsay, who's now sitting in our COO seat, she was just like grinding, making this happen. So it was really cool. What we did was stop spending so much money on broad-based marketing and focus in on niche marketing, where we can go kind of like the direct mail strategy, where you're picking what you're sending the marketing to. We did the same thing, but we got data direct from source. So like county websites, attorney websites, focused on more niche stuff. Think like probate, foreclosures, inheritance, things where you know what the problem is. Call them, text them, not on multi-line dialers, not on things that are going to be problematic because of all the rules in place, but like single, literally copy and paste call. Our whole team is virtual assistants, so we reduced our costs. They're doing phenomenally. And we'd call and text and send mail right away, like 2 pieces of mail right out of the gate, back-to-back days, explaining what we could do to help them in their very specific situation. And that was really the pivot for us that has so far proven to be really effective.
Okay, so everybody that's listening to the podcast is probably waiting to find out what strategy this is. So is this something that like they have to be members of Altitude to learn? Is it something that you can share? Like, tell me, like, where are we at on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's like all we're doing is just like helping people. I don't know, like the whole strategy, like there's multiple things you can do with this. What we decided to do was basically go buy houses either in foreclosure or inherited or something like that, where we could we have enough capital that we have access to be able to pay off those problems and take the deed to that house and create value in it because we're getting it so cheap. I think it would be like a 2-hour long podcast to go too deep into the strategy, but the beauty about creative finance is it is literally creative, and there's probably 100 different ways you could do it. So
you guys are you're finding the property, there's a problem, potentially in foreclosure, you're buying it, you're actually like taking, you're bringing the cash to the table. So not wholesaling it, not necessarily fixing it up and flipping it. Like you said, we're not built for that, but what are some of the needs that you have on that business that you didn't have before?
Raising capital. Like you have to be able to raise capital or have access to funds. Like this isn't something a new investor, this particular strategy isn't something like a brand new investor would do. But you definitely have to be able to raise capital, and you have to be very smart at what you're buying, making sure because we're getting into good properties. We're not getting into a lot of fixer uppers. We're getting into like a 2015 property with tons of equity. We're getting into good houses with lots of equity doing this. You definitely have to be able to raise capital. It's capital intensive.
So you already knew how to find these places and target them. You already knew because of the background of doing direct to seller marketing. You already understood how to negotiate with the seller because you've been doing that for years. And then most of it has been wholesale. So now the main difference is kind of structuring the deal the right way, things like that, being able to talk through that, the paperwork. And then secondly is raising capital. How much capital did you need and will you need in 2025 in order to execute on the strategy at the level that you want to?
Yeah. So just to give you some context for I think for the 7 houses we most recently bought, it's about 700 to 750,000 in capital. We just did this capital. You just held this capital raising 5-day challenge, which was like I participated in it as a participant, and while we were on it, I was just employing those strategies and was able to find people who were like super excited to get in our deals with us, and we were able to bring about $370,000 into our business doing that
in a week.
In those 5 days, yes, literally that exact number.
Okay, well done. You probably raised the most out of the group. I think we had a little over 200 people that attended the challenge. If you're listening to this and you didn't come to the 5-day money raising challenge, I'm like, where were you? So maybe what we'll do is we'll do another one and give you the opportunity to come. But some of the testimony that I got from that was I had a guy who has been listening to the podcast, attending our events for years. And I mean, I hate to say this because it makes me sound probably bad previously, but he's like, these 5 days are better than anything that I've ever consumed from you, like all the way through. It was easy to understand. It was simple. It made me feel like I can actually do this for the first time. It was really interesting feedback because I definitely simplified the raising money conversation, and I allowed people to be themselves. They don't have to be me. They don't have to be Adam. You don't have to be somebody else. You just be yourself. And, pulled back the curtain and just, gave everybody what I thought that they needed. And it was cool. We jump-started a ton of people. There's people raising money. There's people doing deals. And I had the 30-day challenge. And I was like, well, I learned a lot since then. Let's do it in 5. And so if you have the opportunity to attend, I highly encourage you do. I want to do it again. So if there's enough interest and you guys are like, oh, I missed it, I want to do it, I want to go through it, I'm willing to do it again. So, okay, you raised a couple $100,000 from that, funded some deals. What does that look like in 2025? Like what do you think you need to raise? And is this the only strategy that you're employing this year? What's the plan?
Yeah. So it's not the only strategy, but it's right now it's the primacy. It's in the forefront of what we're doing. It's where we're spending 90% of our time. Our plan is to do 22 deals and we're projecting it to be about 1.1 million top line. So like in terms of the acquisition fees we're getting, and we expect to be 30% or better net profit. So far, the results have proven that, and we aim to maintain 30% or more equity against our debt.
That's great. Yeah, money is the thing. Like in any business, if you have money, you can do whatever you want. You can buy it, you can wholesale it, you can flip it, you can You can that strategy should never change. Like raising money should be a strategy that goes on forever for your business because it gives you so many options. You don't have to use it. It gives you options. You don't have to put it in the bank and pay interest on it and use it only when you have it. There's a lot of different ways to do it and structure it. Obviously, I'm in money raising mode from the last week. I'm like on fire from the challenge and all the training and seeing all the responses from people. Okay, so ended up 2024. Top line $1 million, 40 deals. You can do half the number of deals. And the goal is to make the same amount of top line, but make way more net profit.
We think we can net close to 600K. Our tagline this year is nothing but net.
Nothing but net. I like it. That's awesome.
That's Lindsay. That's all Lindsay.
Well, what are some of the things that you learned in 2024 that you'd like to tell everybody?
Well, one, you can win in any market. You have to understand, you have to just be paying attention to what's working, what's not working. You have to really be tracking what is happening and believe the data when you see it. That's probably the biggest thing. I think a lot of people do see the data, but they don't believe it because they're just resistant because they have a plan. And then the other big learning lesson is really something Lindsay implemented and how much she actually pours into training and developing our salespeople every single day, listening and doing call audits every day for every person from cold caller to acquisition rep. Every single person gets a call audit every day. And our team actually loves it. They thrive in it. They love the feedback and they've gotten exponentially better. And by the way, our entire team outside of Lindsay and I are all virtual assistants.
How many of those do you have?
Our acquisition rep.
How many do you have?
I think she just hired a cold caller yesterday. I think we're at 7.
Okay. 7 virtual assistants on average. What are they getting paid?
The going rate nowadays is like $6 to $8 an hour. Okay, our acquisition rep gets paid like a normal acquisition rep. He works 7 days a week. The man loves money. He's insane. He's a great learner. He's thirsty for feedback. He implements really well, but that guy works every day, every single day. We don't make him work every day. He chooses to work every day, 7 days a week. I'm not exaggerating. He's incredible.
So it sounds like building the right culture, training and development, building the leaders, and then decreasing some of the overhead expenses, which is usually staff, manpower, and labor. Like that, those are very high expense inside businesses. And then because marketing is probably a really hefty expense, so you take marketing expense in a wholesale business, a direct marketing business, and then you add in labor expense, there's not a lot of room left for profit because there's other operational stuff. So higher margin deals, less number of them potentially in 2025. It's exciting. What's going to stop you guys from doing that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that could stop us is the inability to raise capital. It would be probably the main thing that slows us down. I feel very confident on lead generation, on our sales process, on our value proposition. All of those things are very, very dialed in. Our ability to solve complex problems is unmatched. We solve the most complex problems. We work with great title companies and attorneys, which is also a key to creative deals. Like we're not just figuring out paperwork on our own. We have attorneys that we're working with. So it's definitely going to be raising capital, which I think that's not just us. I think that's going to be across the industry as opportunities come, having access to capital to be able to make those pivots and changes in your business are going to be really, really important over the coming couple of years. And I don't expect the market to change in 2025 or 2026. I think we're about where we're going to be at least for a couple of years.
So your goal is to extract as much out of the marketplace inefficiency as possible, which is really how you make profit. You look at the market inefficiency and you extract profit out of it. And so that's the plan.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay. Raising money. I don't know. I've been beating on this drum for like 10 years. So at some point you guys will all catch up to me and get excited about it as much as I do. Why do you think people don't raise as much money as they could or should?
Yeah, I think people, well, I think if you're like wholesaling, you believe you don't need to, which is completely false. I think you should always be having conversations with potential lenders and private lenders. And then I think just people aren't confident in themselves. They're often like concerned that maybe they don't have enough experience, or um, why would somebody lend with me? Their mindset's wrong around money. They don't understand how it moves. And honestly, this is like probably money has probably been the biggest thing I've personally learned from you, how it moves, how to think about it, the mindset around it, how to use it to your advantage. So I feel very fortunate for that. And now people doing, the challenges and all the stuff you teach people about raising money are getting to see some of that stuff too. But it's a lot of it's mindset. I think they think they need to know every single detail about how everything works, which is not uncommon for anything. And they have a mindset around money like, I need money, instead of like understanding the opportunity they bring to the marketplace, things like that.
Well, if your big limitation in 2025 from hitting your goals is going to be like the inability to raise money, you can't raise enough capital, what are you planning to do in 2025 to make sure that doesn't happen?
Yeah, I've already started this. I basically I'm following the playbook that has been laid out for years, really, in our community, and I've built good relationships with people over a long time. I'm just letting more people know that this is an opportunity, and I'm doing it in a way where it's systematized, right? Like I have a list of people who I would be willing to work with and let come in on my opportunities. I'm letting them know that they're there. I'm finding out what their goals are, uncovering, who would we be a good match for, and fostering those relationships so we can take advantage of the opportunity together.
Nice. So you're pretty much following the playbook that I
exactly
laid out
what you
the last
told me
5
to do.
days. Okay. All right. Well, hey, I think that's great. I'm excited for 2025. It's been cool to watch you pivot on the strategy, and every time we have a 7-figure altitude event, I think me and you get together and kind of talk about some stuff, or you'll present something, and I'll be like, hey, like I see a gap here, and it's really been cool working back and forth together over the past few years inside Blackjack to look at the P&L and be like, and you would be like, hey, what do you see? And I usually can find something. Like it's easy to look at data and find something. So it's been cool for that. And it's awesome to watch you guys pivot now as a team, especially with Lindsay coming on board. There's a lot of trust there. The length of time she's been in our community and how much I believe in her and how capable she is. So you're totally blessed there. I remember when she made that post inside of our community, like, hey, I'm looking for a change, and you scooped her up without question. So well done. Hey, so as we wrap up, like, what should we do? Should we do another challenge? Should we invite everybody to the challenge? Like,
man, I think that challenge it was exactly what I needed. It was so impactful just to watch like people's eyes be open to all the opportunity if they have that skill. I think we should do another challenge. I think I would totally advocate to do that as soon as we can do it again.
All right. So if you're brand new, you need to raise money. Even if you don't have a deal, you need to raise money. If you have some experience and you're wholesaling, you need to raise money. If you're doing apartments or new construction or, land development, if you're flipping land, you need to raise money. If you are, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you have any 2 words of real estate anywhere in your thought process of the future, this is absolutely something you should do. I think this is actually like the start for a lot of people. If you're uncomfortable raising money, you should come. If you are very comfortable raising money, you should come. I will teach you something. There will be something in there. And if you're comfortable raising money, you're probably a lifelong learner like me. If you're listening to this, you'll learn something. There'll be something in there that would be like, oh, I need to do that. And so it is, I'm just going to say the price. It was $47. $47. Okay. It's like appetizers and a drink with your spouse out on date night. At least that's what it cost us to go on date night. $47 usually. It's like $150 for the whole dinner and everything. So $47. You give up, just don't have an appetizer next time you go out with your spouse for a date night, and you can come. And the VIP's got some Q&A behind the scenes. But I'll do it again. I say we do it in like a week or two, and we'll launch it. We'll put it on there. I'd really like to do it next week. So I'm gonna push the team to do it. It'll be in the email. It'll be in the description of the show, in all the show notes. And yeah, let's raise some money together. I'll do it again.
At the very least, I'll make sure we get a minimum of a waitlist email, waitlist link to get involved in this. But I think we can do it in a week. I really do. I'm confident. We'll see. I think we just want to make sure we do it well, and I think it's totally possible, and I'm excited for it. People should.
Yeah, it's true. I definitely want to do it again. We'll get you on the list to notify you. It'll be in the description. It'll be in the show notes. I look at my calendar. I've got time, so I'm just gonna push the team to get rolling because I'm like chomping at the bit to do this thing again because it was so much fun, and I love talking about money, and I could do it every day. I will do it for free. I absolutely love it. So. And you need it. I know that you need it. It's probably the best thing that I can give to the marketplace. There was like one. Let me give you one, like a little foreshadowing of what I did. So there's a recording that I did in 2020 where I had a lender. He did not know it was being recorded, and I called him on the phone. And I recorded the conversation. At the end, it was on Zoom. Actually, I was on Zoom, and at the end, I asked him. I said, "Hey, I'm creating this like course on money raising. Could I use this recording?" And so I didn't want somebody who knew they were being recorded because I knew their answers would be fake. So I went through, it's like 40 minutes long. I go through and I ask him all the questions. It's the entire, like my entire playbook shown like one-on-one on a video call with somebody. And then on the last day of the challenge, and we might move it around, but inside the challenge somewhere, I pause it and I say, this is why I said that. We listen to it together. We go through it and I'm like, this is why I said this. This is why I said that. Here's what I was thinking. Here's what you guys should be thinking. Here's what you might forget, or you might hear this and say this instead. This is why I said that. And really just kind of like break it down and just play by play exactly why I did what I did and said what I said, because it's all strategic. And so that was really fun for me among the other days of just like building out strategies and the foundation and the frameworks and everything like that for raising money. So we'll do it. I'm really excited. I don't have the link right now, but we'll drop it in the show notes. We'll send in the email. And Adam, you got anything else to say before we wrap it up?
I'm really excited about real estate in 2025. And I think this is going to be a good year for the people who are committed to it and know that this is their path. For me, it's always been my path for freedom. And I take great pleasure in helping other people come down that path with us, because we've taken the red pill and we know how powerful it is. And I'm excited to bring other people on the path with us this year. And I'm excited to do it in our businesses.
Nice. All right. And by the way, if everybody's telling you that you should not get into real estate in 2025 because it's not a good business or it's rocky or things like that, they don't know what they're talking about. Like anytime is a good time to get into real estate. Anytime is a good time to start. Now is the time to start. Okay. Yesterday's gone. Now it's now. Like start right now. And the best way to do that is to get some activity, to get involved, get into a community, find some people that are like-minded. And if that sounds like us, then come join us in the challenge. Probably the best way that I can help you get started. And I mean, I'm in there, like I'm doing it. I haven't done stuff like this in a long time. I'm excited to be with you and had a great time, and I want to do it again. So click the link in the show notes, click the link in the email. If you can't find it, send us an email, info@sevenfigureflipping.com, and we'll point you in the right direction. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show. Bye.
See you.